All right, so President Trump's handpicked U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Lindsay Halligan, is making moves that some are describing as radical reshaping of the office. Let's get the details now from MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Dilanian. So, Ken, this latest move involves Halligan removing a senior prosecutor in Virginia. What can you tell us?
Good morning, Mika. Yes, Lindsay Halligan has removed, as we understand it, the first deputy in the office, a woman named Maggie Cleary, who appeared to have pretty good MAGA bona fides. She had been a local prosecutor, then she had been a federal prosecutor in the Western District of Virginia. She was falsely accused of being present at the January 6th riot, and she said that that experience had sort of made her aware of what she called the weaponization of government. And she'd made a bid to be the U.S. attorney in the Eastern District, but settled on being the first assistant. But we are told that she was not on board with the case against James Comey, the prosecution of James Comey for lying to Congress. She did not accompany Lindsay Halligan into the grand jury to present that case. And now we are told she's been removed from her job and sent somewhere else in the Justice Department. And that's part of a series of firings that have taken place in the Eastern District since Lindsay Halligan has taken power there. And remember, Lindsay Halligan, Donald Trump's former defense attorney, no prosecutorial experience. She had been an insurance lawyer, and now she's in charge of one of the most important U.S. attorney's offices in the United States, guys.
So, Ken, Cleary's crime here was that she was skeptical of the Comey prosecution, like almost every prosecutor in that office?
We're not, Lindsay Halligan is not reading out her decisions to us, Willie, but that is certainly one of the factors that we are told went into her removal from that position.
Let me ask you about Maryland as well, Ken. You reported on the acting U.S. attorney there moving forward with criminal charges against President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton. What more are you learning about that?
Yes, so the John Bolton case, we are told, is not seen in the same bucket as, say, the James Comey case and the case against Letitia James, the New York Attorney General. There actually seems to be some significant evidence in the Bolton case. Remember, he's not accused, he hasn't been charged, but his house and office were searched after a judge found probable cause to believe there was potential misconduct around classified information. And we learned subsequently that they did seize classified documents from his home, although those documents were old. What's really interesting about this case to me, what sources are telling us, is that this case arose in the Biden administration in part because the United States intelligence community found some of John Bolton's emails because his account, his AOL account, had been hacked by a foreign adversary. And one of the reasons they didn't move forward with this case, we're told, is because they were concerned about revealing that information, that revealing that the access that the U.S. had to this adversary would be more harmful than anything that John Bolton did with classified material. Obviously, the Trump administration did not share those qualms, and so they've made public the fact that the U.S. Essentially hacked into this other foreign government and found these John Bolton emails. And some of my sources are very concerned about that and say that was a breach. The Trump administration says they did an analysis and professionals concluded it was okay to reveal. Either way, they appear to be moving forward with indicting John Bolton, Donald Trump's former national security advisor, and somebody who's prominent on Donald Trump's enemies list, guys.
So, Ken, in President Trump's infamous DM to Pam Bondi on Truth Social a few weeks ago, he identified 3 people he thought were, quote, guilty and should be investigated. James Comey has been indicted. Letitia James has been indicted. The third is Adam Schiff, senator from California. I couldn't help but notice that seemingly out of nowhere this weekend, Trump posted on Truth Social about his Ukraine impeachment, the first time he was impeached, and mentioned Schiff in that post, suggesting some of that process may have been illegal. Is there a sense from people you're talking to that there's anything, that this is a new front that they're trying to open up if they're trying to have retribution against Schiff too?
Well, Jonathan, it's an interesting question because what we hear is that there are certain people in MAGA world who want to bring a sort of holistic prosecution. Their theory is that there was a conspiracy to violate Donald Trump's civil rights with all the investigations, whether you're talking about the Russia investigation, the Ukraine investigation, Jack Smith's special counsel investigations. They believe that everybody involved in these cases committed some kind of misconduct and abused Donald Trump's rights, and they're trying to sort of bring this massive case in their fantasy. The reality is there isn't any evidence to support any of that. If there was, we would have seen it because the Trump administration has had control of the records for 9 months now. And so even the way they are distorting and bringing marginal cases against some of these figures, it's hard to imagine they could bring that kind of case. But, look, we're less than a year into the Trump administration. We'll see where it goes.
We shall see. MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Dilanian, thank you so much. And I would say, again, these political prosecutions are terrible, exactly what MAGA world was being critical about in years past. As you look at Alvin Bragg and other prosecutions, I will say, though, you cross a line. You cross the Rubicon when you go after a sitting U.S. senator. Mm-hmm. Very interesting to see how Republicans and Democrats alike would respond to that.
David French, your latest opinion piece for the New York Times is entitled "How a Trump Judge Exposed the Trump Con," and in it you write about a decision by Judge Karen Immergut in Oregon, who issued that temporary restraining order to block President Trump's attempt to deploy the National Guard to Portland. Tell us about it.
Yeah, this was a fascinating judicial decision. And the reason is this, that Trump, when he's in court, is making a series of arguments about his authority and his power under Article 2 of the Constitution as commander-in-chief authority that says you need to give me deference. If I'm going to be sending the National Guard into a city and I believe there's some sort of rebellion or I'm unable to execute the laws of the United States, you need to defer to my judgment there. And this is a shield that he's using against judicial review. And what this judge did, a Trump-appointed judge, was to say, wait a minute, the case authority says look, if these decisions are not made in good faith, or these decisions must be made in good faith, and if they're not being made in good faith, how much deference is he due? And so she did what courts should have been doing from day one with Donald Trump, which is take his words seriously. She looked at the words that he said about Portland, said they were untethered to the facts on the ground, and didn't give him all of that deference the way that other courts have, because he was misrepresenting the truth. And I think this is a key way forward for judges in dealing with Donald Trump. Don't just look at his lawyers' justifications or rationalizations. Look at what the man himself is saying. If what the man himself is saying is at odds with the law, it's at odds with the facts on the ground, then act accordingly.
New York Times opinion columnist David French, thank you very much for coming on this morning. And still